What's up, it's Cinema Shogun here, and it has now been 3 weeks since the fires in Maui. Yet, we still don't really know what's going on down there, but to be fair, the people down there don't really know what's going on either. The number of casualties being reported, it's not accurate. The number of missing people being reported is not accurate. None of the numbers are accurate. We're still wondering how this even happened. The people down there are wondering how this happened. They're not getting the help that they need. And communication is very difficult. For some people, they still have no power, no internet, no cell phone service. There are literally airplanes flying over certain areas delivering people messages from loudspeakers attached to these little airplanes. It's really weird. It's really crazy. It's really scary. But even though no one really knows for sure what's happening, everyone knows that it ain't good. Everyone knows that it ain't right. Anyone who spends some time looking into this story, even for just a few minutes, you'll see that this ain't right. And the closer you become to the story, the more you feel it in your chest, in your soul, in your bones. You feel it. That this ain't right. That this is something way more than just a devastating fire. In fact, the more and more this situation plays out, the flames become less scary and intimidating, and what really becomes scary are the people. The powers that are at play here. The flames, they come and go, but these people who are trying to capitalize off this situation, they're not going anywhere, and it's starting to increasingly look like, I almost don't even want to say it, but I don't know what caused these flames, but they're damn sure taking advantage of this situation, almost as if they knew or they wanted something like this to happen. I'll just say that, and I'll leave it there. But why do I feel that way? Well, there's a lot of different reasons as to why I feel that way. To get the full picture, go ahead and watch all of the videos I made on this topic. After watching those videos, you'll probably feel the same way I do. But to put the icing on the cake, to put the cherry on top, we have to talk about something that happened roughly around 3 weeks before the fires broke out. Because in some weird ways, it looks as if they were already preparing for this fire before it even happened. You see, Governor Josh Green, the governor of Hawaii, on July 17th, he signed an emergency proclamation. Now, this has to be one of the first times, if not the first time, I never really hear of it, that someone has signed a emergency proclamation without there really being an emergency involved. You see, maybe your area will get hit by a hurricane or some type of natural disaster, or something bad happens, and then your governor may sign a emergency proclamation. Or maybe it'll be during a pandemic or something like that. But you don't just see emergency proclamations signed out of nowhere. Yet here, 3 weeks before the fire, the governor signed an emergency proclamation. This order suspended a half a dozen state and county laws that primarily focus on land use. The measure invokes a state law giving the governor broad power to suspend laws that impede a response to emergencies such as natural disasters or a pandemic. You see, these emergency proclamations, they can happen for various reasons, but often it gives these people a power to act above anyone else, basically. They get the only say in a situation. Sometimes it will suspend certain laws, certain rules, and these people will override certain laws and certain rules. So in this situation, it looks as if the governor was setting himself up for him and his people to basically have control over Lahaina being rebuilt, basically, in a way. But why would Lahaina need to be rebuilt if the fire hadn't happened yet? You see, this proclamation that was put in place 3 weeks before the fire started, it places all of the rebuilding decisions in the hands of one unelected official. And she's already meeting with developers. She's already coming up with decisions about what they're going to do with Lahaina behind the residents' back. This emergency proclamation is going to give these people the power to make decisions that they normally wouldn't have the power to make. And I'm just asking, why on earth, why did this proclamation come about? Why was this signed 3 weeks before an emergency even took place? It looks a lot like y'all knew something was coming. And I'm not even being a conspiracy theorist here, people. These are facts. This is something we rarely ever see, if we've ever seen it in history. This emergency proclamation with no emergency, and then 3 weeks later, here comes the emergency. Meanwhile, the proclamation's already been taken care of. So what it looks like, and the governor, he's already been talking about the state taking over the land. What it looks like here is he already signed it away. He already sealed the deal that they're going to control how Lahaina is rebuilt. They're going to do it their way. They got full control because they already signed the emergency proclamation, and there's like nothing anyone can do about it, even elected officials. The emergency proclamation already basically made their voices null and void. It's really crazy. It's a complicated situation. I'm probably not doing the best explaining it, so I will allow someone else to try to explain it for me. Maybe you'll understand him better, but understand that this is not good, and this looks very suspect. But let's play this clip, and then I'll be back with more thoughts.
Chair, I have 3 items that I'm testifying on. My name's Justin Huey. I am a teacher, a 3rd grade teacher from the burned down King Kamehameha III Elementary in Lahaina. And I am testifying on my concerns of the governor's emergency proclamation that happened 3 weeks prior to the fire, and how it suspended 7 state statutes, of which exonerated everything that you guys are in charge of. Covers county organization administration. Chapter 46, collective bargaining was rescinded. School impact fees, collective bargaining was rescinded. And to my knowledge, this was the first emergency proclamation in the country that didn't have a preceding incident. Normally it's like a hurricane, boom, we got an emergency proclamation. But this was just, from my knowledge, was just to streamline development on Maui, and it is allocated all decision-making power to one person, the housing officer of the governor, Nani Medeiros, who's unelected, who can trump every single thing that you do and everything that you say and every item that we cover, without any input from the community, without any public discourse, without sunshine law. Before I go to my, tomorrow, I love what you said. Lahaina's not for sale. Please include us. but I don't see that happening. And I was able to meet with Nani Medeiros. I graciously invited her into my home in order to speak with teachers from the burned down King Kamehameha III Elementary and their own homes. And they're moving forward with they're meeting with developers, private landowners, and not a lot of community unless you know how to maneuver correctly. So before I go to my next item, I would just like to ask each council member to let me know, are you in favor of this emergency proclamation that takes away sunshine law, collective bargaining, all your power in decision making? I would like it if you did me a kindness, and before I go on to the next item that I want to testify on, who's in favor of that? Because I have serious concerns.
Mr. Huey, we don't have discussions at this point. We're just taking testimony, but I'm sure each member will be happy to respond to you on their own.
All right, so can we end this item and go to the next item?
Sure, yes.
So, I was asked to start a teacher work group with HSTA on housing, and I was able to get people that were able to talk to Nani Medeiros, and they really need, I would love to see you pass a resolution on foreclosures, mortgage evictions, subsidized rentals. There's a lot of different things happening right now. Like there's one teacher that lives on this side, but had 3 other jobs besides teaching in Lahaina and has a $4,000 mortgage. So his house didn't burn down, but he's going to lose his house if something isn't done quickly. A different teacher who's had their house burned down moved over here and is trying to buy a house over here, but other investors are trumping her. And I just can't say enough about my concern over the fact that we have streamlined development without any community input, without sunshine law, without public announcements, without meeting notices. I just can't say enough. Everything that you do can be trumped by one person who's unelected and has no community input. And for me, I just think that, I wouldn't know why. She also said that she met with 4 council members and they were in complete agreement with the emergency proclamation. So that means there's 4 council members here, allegedly, that she stated are in agreement with getting rid of sunshine law, collective bargaining, school impact fees, and Chapter 46. And it's like, my question is, why did you run if you're not going to step up to the plate when we need you the most? And this needs to go. This needs to go right now. This is disaster capitalism of $5 billion are coming to Maui, and sticky fingers are here to take it all and develop everything without any input. Lahaina needs to decide what happens in Lahaina. But it's not just there, it's everywhere. Anything you do on this island can be trumped by one person. And more people need to be standing up and saying that this is not how government works. This is not how we teach our children how government works. And this cannot move forward. Let me see. Okay, I'll end there. And then for the next, and to go over, Biden came, if we start for the next agenda item, I'm sorry, this is pretty intense. So Biden came and spoke with the community at the Civic Center, and Biden said that, Maui is going to decide Maui's future. But again, one person on Oahu is currently meeting with developers, meeting with private landowners, and is not meeting with the public. And that should be front page everywhere. And anything you do can be trumped by one person without any notice, and you won't know until it happens. I I'm thankful for Biden coming here when he did, not right away, and being there for the community. But this is a state and county issue, and the state and the county are going to decide how the rebuilding efforts go. And I would really like to see the county reconsider what if they've been in favor of this, and pass a resolution against the governor's emergency proclamation on affordable housing that happened 3 weeks prior to the wildfire. Thank you very much. I appreciate the time to speak.
It's a land grab, people. What more do you want me to say? It's a blatant, obvious land grab. They're not even going out of their way to try to hide it at all. At all. And the fact that this emergency proclamation was already signed 3 weeks before the fires, it makes me feel really weird. I think it should make anyone feel really weird. And this is the type of stuff I'm always talking about. Every time you look into one of these situations, you find all of this suspect stuff, all of this weird stuff that doesn't make any sense. And it makes it look as if these situations are planned out beforehand. The same thing goes with East Palestine, Ohio. Look at all of the weird things that surrounded that story. Now look at this one. I guess this is just another coincidence. The roadblock was a coincidence to lead people to their deaths. Turning off the water was a coincidence. Not sounding the alarm, that's a coincidence. Oh, and it just so happens that we signed an emergency proclamation that gives us the right to basically take over and do what we want with this land. And we signed that, and put that in place 3 weeks before the fire even started. So let's say best case scenario. Best case scenario, this emergency proclamation has nothing to do with the fire. It's still shady. There's still an effort by the governor and by his people to have some ultimate say-so over what's going to be done in Lahaina. And that's not up to him. That shouldn't be up to whoever he wants to put in charge. It shouldn't be up to his team. It should be up to the people of Lahaina. So regardless, it's still a flaky situation. But it looks to me like they're going to speed through this process. Because of the emergency proclamation, they don't have to follow the same rules and guidelines when it comes to rebuilding and stuff like that. They get to just fly over a bunch of rules, so they'll be able to come in and start rebuilding and developing way quicker than they would be able to without this emergency proclamation in place. So basically, it's going to speed up the rebuilding efforts. The only problem is, it doesn't look like Lahaina is going to be rebuilt in the way the people of Lahaina want it to be rebuilt. It's going to be rebuilt in the vision of the governor and of his team members and the powers that be that deliver him his orders. It's crazy, y'all. It's crazy. But this is just one of the latest things. I'm telling you right now that this whole story, this situation, it is glowing at this point. How can anyone not see it? How can anyone not see it? It's so obvious. It's right there in your face. And it's starting to look worse and worse. The more we find out, the worse the situation looks. They have not done a good job at covering their tracks. And I don't even think they cared to try to cover their tracks in the first place. But let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. While you're down there, hit the thumbs up, hit that subscribe, ring that notification bell, and I'll talk to you all soon in the next video.